this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Brought to you by the Spam brand.
Some foods or TV shows just instantly take you back to your childhood. Spam Classic is one of those foods.
It's so 90s, but also so iconic that the sight of it sizzling just makes your mouth water.
Back then, we had Spam Classic, but today, there are 12 irresistible varieties to choose from.
It's like picking your favorite Boy Meets World episode. Impossible. There's Korean barbecue flavored, jalapeno, and 25% less sodium, just to name a few.
Spam brand. Sizzle pork and
Learn more and get sizzling at spam.com.
Okay, so my dog Little has figured out what a Chewy box looks like. And so she sees it and immediately assumes it's for her and goes rushing over to it.
Issa is the same way. She barks at everyone else, but the Chewy box, she's like, I'll let that one slide. You know what? I can't blame her. Chewy has over 100,000 products, food, treats, toys, beds, but all the stuff that both our dogs love.
And it shows up in like 1 or 2 days. Like I've barely hit the order button and it's already on my porch.
So convenient. And it's not just dog stuff. Birds, fish, reptiles. Chewy's got the whole pet universe covered.
You know what surprised me was the health side. Now, you know, my sweet Holly was a medically complex poodle with her heart disease and her kidney disease, and she needed a lot of prescription meds and prescription food. And Chewy was outstanding and really went above and beyond to make sure that she had what she needed. So I appreciate that. And Chewy will take care of all prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth, vet visits. The list goes on.
And they're now rolling out actual vet clinics. So that is huge.
Amazing. And if Little turns her nose up at something, which she does quite often, I can return it within a year with no questions asked. And if I ever need help, Chewy's 24/7 customer service is actually helpful.
Chewy just makes the whole pet parent thing feel easier.
They really do. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/howrude.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck, and there's Jerry, and this is Stuff You Should Know, the Schnoz edition.
Such a great word.
It is, man, and it's such a great descriptor, too. Like, I consider my nose a schnoz. There's a big difference between a schnoz and a nose, and I've got a schnoz.
Yeah, and what I think is even funnier, and this goes back to the Saturday Night Live, which one was it? It was a Martin Short season.
Okay.
And it was one of the Martin Short sketches where he's doing... I think Nathan Thurm was the attorney that he did occasionally.
Okay.
And he said the word schnoz, like snoz, without the sh.
Uh-huh.
And it just made it even funnier. He said, we don't make snozes. He was talking about fake noses.
So did he get it wrong, or did he mess up a line, or what was the deal?
Oh, I think it was just the comedic genius of Martin Short.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And speaking of which...
What?
This has nothing to do with that, but we're teasing out listener mail today early because we have collected, I knew we'd get some good grilled cheese tips.
Yeah.
And we collected a little small compendium, so it's going to be a bit of an extended listener mail where we go over the listener mail tips for grilled cheese sandwiches.
We're really going to wear out that background music.
So stick around.
So we're talking nose jobs today, Chuck, also called rhinoplasty. You would think rhinoplasty is the clinical term, and I guess technically it is. But if you are a plastic surgeon or cosmetic surgeon, you would probably not call it that any longer. You'd call it nose sculpting instead, which to me really kind of underscores the vibe about nose jobs today. That is a little bit here, a little bit there. Nothing too ridiculously radical. And that's a far cry from, the rhinoplasty of the past, from what I understand.
Yeah, I've heard it called nose reshaping as well. And rhinoplasty itself comes from Greek, of course, rhino, meaning nose.
Or schnoz.
Or schnoz. Or schnoz. And plastikos, Plastikos, which looks so Greek. Means to shape and to mold, and that's what plastic surgery comes from, of course. So rhinoplasty is Just reshaping the schnoz.
Man, you are on fire in 2022, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Finally?
Yes. I mean, no,
Hey, it took
no,
14 years.
No, you've been on fire, but I'm saying like you've really just stepped it up in the last this past year. I don't know what the deal is, but I love it. I'm loving it. I'm here for it, and I want more and more.
All right, nowhere to go but down.
That's right. That's what they call a setup. You're gonna do great, Chuck.
What kind of snot? Thank you for that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I demur, but and try to move on very quickly when given a compliment.
Yeah. Well,
so let's do that here.
That's fine. That's fine. But I also want to add something to that. That is now the last time I'm going to drag one of your great jokes out and beat it with a rug beater until it's totally not funny anymore. Now I'm fully on board, so I'm just going to play along. Okay.
And act like it's just normal.
Yeah.
What kind of nose job would someone get? Why would someone want a nose job?
Oh, there's all sorts of reasons you could want a nose job. You could be a 7th century BCE Indian thief or adulterer and have had your nose lopped off as punishment.
Okay, bring it forward.
You could have been in one of the world wars and been facially injured by a mine.
Bring it forward.
You could have been born with a kind of nose that is characteristic of your ethnicity and want to have changed it to fit in with waspy mid-century America.
Getting closer.
And then lastly, you can also want to reshape your nose for medical reasons as well.
Right. The only thing you left out, and we're going to get to all this stuff in greater detail, is you may have had syphilis. Which at a time in our history that left you with kind of a hole in the front of your face. And just big tip for people, do not Google syphilis nose and look for images, because while you will see that, and that is alarming in and of itself, you will see lots of nastiness that you won't be able to forget anytime soon. Yeah, because apparently syphilis causes necrosis of your soft tissues, and soft tissues combine to kind of give us a characteristic appearance. And when that soft tissue is missing, it can be, disarming at first or alarming at first until you just stop and think oh, it's the person, That's right. So as far as cosmetic stuff goes, and if this is purely hey, I just don't really like the way my nose looks, and I would like to get it to look the way I want it to look. Yeah. Some of the reasons are just facial balance, like how big your face is in relation to the size of your nose. Mm-hmm. You might have trouble with the width of your nose, or it might have something to do with a visible hump or bump, which I love. Oh, yeah? Yeah, I think, is it called a Roman nose? Yes. That has sort of the hump? Yeah. Yeah. I find that to be a very attractive feature on a lady. Gotcha. Okay, cool. So I'm a fan. So, that would be something you would see more in profile. Mm-hmm. Or, it might be the tip of your nose might droop or be turned up in a more, I guess they call it a pug fashion. Yes. Or it might be hooked. Or you might not like your nostrils. They may not be symmetrical. They can kind of do whatever you want done these days. Yeah, that's definitely true. And one of the things that that has evolved as far as nose jobs goes that I kind of touched on earlier is it used to be, especially in the heyday of the mid-century, the 50s and 60s, when nose jobs really started to take off for cosmetic reasons, especially among people of Jewish ancestry in America. Mm-hmm. There was I want this nose. You go in with a magazine picture, or you go in with your friend and be like, give me her nose. You did her nose, I want the same nose. And there was a just this kind of general idea that you just got exactly the nose you wanted without any regard to whether that nose actually looked natural on your face. Right. And it's evolved over time. And one of the reasons why is because there was a perfect nose, an American nose, a Caucasian nose that was an ideal version of beauty. And over time, especially in the last 10 or so years, it seems like, there's been a huge sea change in the way people who get nose jobs approach it, and that they're can you just take the
more extreme features of my nose, like you just went over on that list, and just kind of tone them down a little bit. Don't give me a different nose. I want a slightly more idealized version of my nose. I want to look like myself.
Right.
I don't want somebody else's nose. I just want it tamed a little bit. And that's kind of where it stands today from everything I saw as far as nose jobs go.
Yeah, and it sort of reminds me of that great scene from the movie Singles when Bridget Fonda goes in for breast augmentation surgery. And Bill Pullman is the surgeon. Yeah, Bill Pullman. And I wasn't thinking Bill Paxton. I just couldn't remember if it was Bill Pullman.
Sure.
And she, they have the little weird science program where they make the breasts larger or smaller by just hitting up or down on the computer. And she goes way big. And he's like, why don't we fit your frame a little more? He's sort of trying to talk her into just a more reasonable form of that surgery. And I think, and that was a long time ago. And I think you're right. I think these days, and of course people get all kinds of extreme, body surgery done. But I think these days it is a little bit more common for someone to say hey, I'm not trying to look like a completely different version, but this one thing has always bothered me. Yeah.
And then one other thing I want to say too, that seems to be a common part of the discussion around nose jobs is a lot of people who get them tend to view them as not so much like a physical operation, or it is a physical operation, but it's to correct a psychological issue. That the person doesn't actually, there's nothing wrong with their nose. They just don't like their nose, and they've come to dislike their nose so much that they have trouble living their life because they're so self-conscious about it. And to them, people who get nose jobs say, this is just smart. There's no reason for me not to do this. It's going to help. And apparently it does help sometimes. So I don't encourage it one way or the other. I certainly don't judge or criticize or anybody who does get a nose job if they feel like it's the right thing for them. But it just seems, Chuck, very much in step with the 21st century and the people in their late teens and 20s and even early 30s are just so aware, way more aware than we were when we were their age. That kind of has to do with nose jobs too. It's translated and transferred over to nose jobs, that people are just thinking more about it rather than, I hate my nose, I want this nose,
Yeah, I think it falls under the general umbrella of now there's a lot more sort of shunning of this idealized beauty notion than there has been in a long time. And I'm not weighing in one or the other either because it's a very personal choice. But I will say that I do love the idea of this idealized form of beauty being kind of kicked to the curb, to say something more modern.
Indeed. There are a few things that have been more harmful that didn't involve guns or explosions than a single idealized form of beauty,
All right, so I agree. Let's go over some statistics right out of the gate. Most of these are from the United States. We do have a few international statistics, but it seems like those are a little harder to trust just based on how they're gathered. But about 2.3 million, I think this is complete cosmetic surgical procedures in the U.S. in 2020. And I think nose reshaping is and was the most common, about 352,000 nose jobs in 2020 in the U.S. Far more women, 287,000 compared to 65,000 men. And teens make up about 13% of those. 20 to 29-year-olds make up 31%. If you live out west, you're more likely about a third of the nose jobs are performed out west. I don't know if that means, Los Angeles County.
Probably.
And then Caucasian white people get way more nose jobs than anyone else by a long shot. 71% of the nose jobs in 2020 were on Caucasians, African Americans with just 5%, Hispanic 10%, and Asian Pacific Islander 11%.
So if you're a white American 25-year-old woman living in Los Angeles, there's basically a 100% chance that you're going to get a nose job.
I think you have to.
From what I'm seeing here.
What about internationally?
Well, like you said, the stats are a little wobbly compared to the USA stats, but apparently Brazil is number one. They're the leader, followed by Turkey and America. And then Argentina and Russia. This list, I've seen reference elsewhere that Iran is actually number 4 behind Brazil, Mexico, and America. So it's just up for grabs. Apparently, the rhinoplasty reporting standards around the world have something to be desired.
Sure.
But let's just say in the top 5, 6, 7, you could definitely have Brazil, the United States, Mexico, Iran, Turkey, that kind of thing.
Right. I think that's because the way they count rhinoplasty around the world is they just have a little, like a suggestion box type thing on the way out. And they say, well, we like to keep track of who does this. So just write your real name on a piece of paper and just stick it in there.
Sure. Or
we'll just trust you to do that.
There was a big mistranslation and they accidentally translated not schnoz, but snaz and confused everybody else.
That's good. Should we take a break here and then dive into the history?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so my dog Little has figured out what a Chewy box looks like. And so she sees it and immediately assumes it's for her and goes rushing over to it.
Issa is the same way. She barks at everyone else, but the Chewy box, she's like, I'll let that one slide. You know what? I can't blame her. Chewy has over 100,000 products, food, treats, toys, beds, but all the stuff that both our dogs love.
And it shows up in like 1 or 2 days. Like I've barely hit the order button and it's already on my porch.
So convenient. And it's not just dog stuff. Birds, fish, reptiles. Chewy's got the whole pet universe covered.
You know what surprised me was the health side. Now, you know, my sweet Holly was a medically complex poodle with her heart disease and her kidney disease, and she needed a lot of prescription meds and prescription food. And Chewy was outstanding and really went above and beyond to make sure that she had what she needed. So I appreciate that. And Chewy will take care of all prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth, vet visits. The list goes on.
And they're now rolling out actual vet clinics. So that is huge.
Amazing. And if Little turns her nose up at something, which she does quite often, I can return it within a year with no questions asked. And if I ever need help, Chewy's 24/7 customer service is actually helpful.
Chewy just makes the whole pet parent thing feel easier.
They really do. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/howrude.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. You can't order it, you can't borrow it, or simply hope it into life. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. Together, guys, we'll have meaningful conversations with the world's most fascinating people. Entertainment legends, sports icons, wellness experts, and everyday people will share how they find, allow, and experience joy. And I'll offer some of my own tips and takes on seeking a more balanced and harmonious life. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Joy after a breakup, joy as an empty nester, joy after a loss, joy as a caretaker. This new podcast will speak to you. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can hear it, true, but now see it. Crime Stories now available with video episodes, free in the iHeart app. Watch all your favorite podcasts, full episodes, start to finish, gavel to gavel, soup to nuts, all in the free iHeart app. You can also watch all your other favorite podcasts like Hey Jonas, Las Cotaristas, Post Run High, and so many more. Hear the voices you know. Now see them and see the moments you've missed. Open the iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts and crime stories, and then just tap watch. I'll see you on video, friend.
Things are getting eerie this week on Snafu with Ed Helms. My Favorite Murder hosts Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark join me for the unsolved kidnapping of William Morgan. It's a great true crime story filled with secret society intrigue and murder.
Freemason files.
Karen, you just birthed a conspiracy, and I'm here for it.
Yay.
Listen to Snafu on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So, Chuck, I made reference before about living in 600 or the 7th century BCE. And maybe you were undergoing a rhinoplasty operation because you had your nose removed as a punishment. That's actually where rhinoplasty began. Like, it's not like there was some ridiculously primitive procedure that somebody tried once and then the idea was lost for a couple thousand years and then it got developed in the 19th century by some British guy. That's not at all how it happened. There was an Indian surgeon named Sushrita, which is not his name. It's actually an adjective that means renowned. But Sushrita is considered the father of cosmetic surgery, and that this guy was not only performing cosmetic surgery, like rebuilding noses from nothing, he was documenting it too in medical texts that he wrote that survived. And he created a technique called the Indian flap that was still in use into the 20th century.
Is that how it's pronounced? His name?
Sushrita?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going, or Sushruta.
I mean, it's a U.
I guess I'm in the mood for a margarita.
I'm in the mood to do a little dance called the Indian flap because that sounds like a lot of fun at a party. The surgical procedure, not so fun.
No.
I mean, should we read part of this, I guess, or should we read all of it?
I think it's worthwhile, yeah.
All right, so this was a description of the Indian flap technique from Sushruta, a.k.a. Sushrita himself. The portion of the nose to be covered should be first measured with a leaf, as you do. Then a piece of skin of the required size should be dissected from the living skin of the cheek, which is super advanced. They still, it's grafting, right?
Right, and it's leaving a blood supply coming from the cheek still.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Very good. So we're approving of these surgical methods.
But 2,600-year-old surgical methods, we're in a position to do that. We live in the 21st century, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. Dissected from the living skin in the cheek and turned back to cover the nose, keeping a small pedicel attached to the cheek, which is what you referenced. The physician should then place the skin on the nose and stitch the two parts swiftly, keeping the skin properly elevated by inserting 2 tubes of aranda, which is a castor oil plant, in the position of the nostril so that the new nose gets proper shape. When the skin has united and granulated, if the nose is too short or too long, the middle of the flap should be divided and an endeavor made to enlarge or shorten it. So it sounds like they're just taking part of the cheek, folding it back over into itself to meet the other part with a tube in the middle, and then having it grow together, right?
Yeah, 2 tubes, actually.
2 tubes.
Yeah, and they still do that today. They use stents to have the procedure hold its place or shape afterward, and they leave it in there until it heals. So, like, this guy was basically, it's like that saying, I can't remember where it came up, but somebody was describing how advanced this development was, or whatever development it was, right out of the gate, where they said that they basically invented the airplane fully functioning with like tray tables for in-flight meals and everything. Like totally, this guy like just figured it out from the outset.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're taking, the skin from your cheek today and using that to build a brand new nose. They would probably actually be more likely to take it from other parts of your body. But the concepts are still very much the same. And it's weird to think that rhinoplasty has been around kind of unchanged for almost 3,000 years.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, so it's clear, this is the procedure when there was no more nose because it had been completely cut off. So they're really starting from zero and forming a new nose. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. And I'm sure compared to no matter the result, it probably looked better than what they had going on before. Yeah, would be my guess.
Oh yeah. So this technique made its way through Egypt, or out from India into Egypt, over to Europe finally, where they were dealing with syphilis outbreaks in the 15th and 16th century, like you were mentioning. There's an Italian surgeon that made his contribution, Gaspar. Actually, I think you should take this.
Gaspari Tagliacosi.
Very nice. And back in 1597, he said, I'm really going to advance this. Instead of that skin from your cheek, I'm going to take it from your upper arm. So he just kind of did a modified Indian flap, and I guess you'd call that the Italian flap. But then finally in the 19th century, there were a couple of surgeons in the late 19th century who really kind of duke it out for the title of father of plastic surgery, or at least aesthetic plastic surgery, because we got really good at doing things like rebuilding noses using rhinoplasty. And we got so good at it that people started saying like, hey, your nose is perfectly fine and it functions, but would you like to take a little off the top? And cosmetic surgery was born.
That's right. I believe the first gentleman you're referring to is a Michiganer. Is that what they call themselves?
I think it's actually Gander. I'm not kidding.
A Michigander?
Yes, because I saw an interview with, I can't remember their governor's name, but she had a sign that said like Proud Michigander.
Yeah, I know the governor. Okay, Michigander, I like that. 1887, his name was John Orlando Rowe, and this was, I think, technically the first paper about cosmetic nose jobs called Correction of the Pug Deformity. And then the next guy, he had some fun nicknames. He was a Jewish-German surgeon named Dr. Jacques Joseph, and his nickname was Nose Joseph. Pretty good.
Yeah, he actually kind of ties into our episode on World War I soldier masks. Do you remember that?
That's right. Yeah, I knew this rung a bell.
I get the impression that he was probably working in the same campus that the guy who led that mask department to build masks for soldiers who came back with facial differences from like bombs and bullets and stuff. This guy was actually doing cosmetic surgery to help repair those injuries. And he got interested eventually in making changes to help Jewish Europeans fit in better. And we'll talk a little more about that later when we talk about ethnic cosmetic surgery. But that was kind of like his evolution. He went from helping soldiers to kind of helping, wealthy citizenry in Europe. And because of that, because this guy showed that there was a huge demand that no one realized was actually there before, a huge explosion of, charlatans, ne'er-do-wells, shiftless slackers,
snake oil salesmen.
Sure. Who figured out like, hey, I'll just give this a shot. How hard can it be? And the rise of the beauty doctor came along.
Yeah, the beauty doctor, it's sort of a contradictory name, I would imagine, because these were the unlicensed practitioners, outpatient nose jobs. Like, hey, I've got some paraffin wax. Let me inject that in there. Because that's a great idea. Just don't go out in the sun.
Right.
And it's also carcinogenic. So this was, a very sort of cut rate job that you didn't have to pay a lot of money for. And it's probably, the expectation was not great, but it was at a time where I guess, legitimate plastic surgery was just entering the fray. So people didn't know any better. And so there were a lot of bad outcomes, I think, from these beauty doctors.
What's nuts to me, Chuck, is this still going on today with butt augmentation? Sure. There's a lot of underground, like unlicensed people who use non-medical stuff like silicone and pump it into people's butts to like make your butt bigger. And it's cheaper. Like you said, it's much cheaper because they're unlicensed and they kind of know what they're doing from experience, but they also have no way of getting you to the hospital. They're not doing this in the hospital. And some people have died. I read about a mother-daughter team who killed a woman because they injected silicone and they accidentally got it into her muscle, which introduced it to the bloodstream and killed her within an hour or so. It's really sad. And apparently there have been other people who died like this. So it's still going on. But as far as rhinoplasty is concerned, I'm pretty sure it's widespread enough and just affordable enough that people aren't going to underground surgeons like they were in the 19th century for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that that still exists and that people can get away with doing this stuff like out of their houses, you know?
Yeah.
So things boomed in the 1950s in the U.S., like you were talking. And I guess now comes the time where we talk a little bit about the procedure itself and the nose itself. It's a little, what really helps is if you're not driving a car or something, if you can just look up sort of a profile of the nose that's labeled for the different parts, which Dave Ruse put this together for us, right?
Yeah, he did a great job too.
Yeah, Dave was kind enough to actually include a picture like this, which really helps kind of break it all down. You've got your upper third of the nose, which is the nasal bone, and is just that's where the bone is. That's where if you get popped in the square in the nose with somebody's fist and you break your nose, you're breaking that nasal bone, because almost all of the rest is what's known as cartilage, which is just that's the shape that you're seeing, and that's why you can squish on the front of your nose and your nostrils, and it's, it just feels like, what does it feel like? Help me out.
It feels more rubbery than the top part of it.
Rubbery. There you go.
And also, even if you don't have a phone or you can't look at pictures right now, you can feel the difference. Like if you pinch the bridge of your nose and just kind of slide it down past about a third of the way down toward the tip and just kind of move it, wiggle it back and forth, you can feel that's bone. That's not moving. That's cartilage. That's going to move. It's going to do the Indian flap if you move it enough.
I want to sneeze. Don't make me sneeze.
Just put your tongue up against the roof of your mouth.
Is that supposed to work, actually?
Yeah, it also works for ice cream headaches, too.
Oh, okay. Man, we're just slinging the knowledge today.
Yeah, we are.
So then you've got your radix, radix. This is the built-up cartilage over the ridge of your nose. And this is where you might get, like, if you have a hump on your nose, it's probably going to be on that radix. And this might be something that people choose to get flattened out.
Yep. You also have one of the more interesting pieces of your body that I didn't realize the name of it, but I love it now that I know it. The columella, which is the little skin between your two nostrils, the little kind of vertical strip of skin that separates your nostrils. And
I thought that was the septum. I learned all kinds of stuff when I did this.
The septum's inside your nose. The columella is the part you can actually touch.
Yeah.
So just touch the little piece of skin between your nose and my friend. You're touching your columella.
That's right.
The septum's up inside your nose above that, and it actually continues the separation of your nostrils in your nose.
Yeah, and see, I always thought, because I never knew much about this stuff or looked into it because I have a great nose. But
you do.
I always thought a deviated septum meant that the septum was actually like had a hole in it.
It can. That's perforated, really, though. That can happen through habitual cocaine use.
Well, yeah, you always heard that story about Mick Jagger, which is probably not even true.
What, his septum fell out or something?
Yeah, like he had it was completely dissolved at some point.
That can happen. I saw a study where out of like 104 cocaine users who used like 10 or more times a month, which is a pretty heavy cocaine user, like 10 of them, 10% had a perforated septum, and that eventually gets so perforated that your septum can just kind of fall in and your actual nose can collapse.
Yeah, I think I wasn't saying that that's not possible. I just doubted that it was Mick Jagger because it just seemed like one of those far out celebrity rumor things.
Yeah.
But who knows? He certainly, was familiar with that drug at one point in his life.
Right. It's like the time Reggie Jackson / Eddie Murphy / Lionel Richie told that lady in the elevator to sit down, but it was actually his dog he was talking to.
Yeah. Refer to our episode on urban legends from a gazillion years ago. And then, wait, we're missing one more piece. Oh, just the tip.
Yeah, just
the ALAR cartilage is the tip there, and that's where if your tip turns up a little bit, they call that the pug deformity, or they did back then.
Right.
I'm not sure what they would call it now.
A cute button nose.
A cute button nose, or if it has a little tiny hook at the end. Some people might want to get that done. Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, there's few more personal decisions to whether you get a nose job or not.
Yeah.
Like, I almost can't think of one. And by almost, I mean, I can't.
Right.
So you've got all these different parts of the nose, and we went over them because they all kind of come into play. depending on what you're going to do. But, one of the leading reasons people go in for a rhinoplasty is to get their nose reduced in size in some way, shape, or form. You can also increase the size of your nose. One very common type of rhinoplasty is where you actually elongate the nose to have it come further off of your face so that in relation to your face, your nose appears narrower. Even though they haven't sized down your nose, they just made it longer, which makes it seem narrower. A lot of this is kind of optical illusion.
Yeah, that's called projection rhinoplasty. And that obviously is going to require you graft something from another body part or from a cadaver. That happens as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they would do that instead of one of your own, unless you didn't want any of the rest of your body being removed.
I don't know. Who knows? But they definitely do. They'll use that from cadavers. They can use it from rib cartilage, septum cartilage, ear cartilage. There's a lot of places they can harvest cartilage from, and you don't need a lot. I get the very distinct impression that a little bit of rhinoplasty goes a very long way. And
I think that's true.
I don't know if we really kind of harped on this or not, Chuck, but remember when you said plasticose means plastic or to shape or to mold in that sense? That's something I think we should point out, because for a very long time, I always thought plastic surgery meant that they were inserting like plastic stuff in there. Yeah, I think a lot of people
never thought
think that. Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
No, they mean plastic in the term of something being able to be molded or bent or changed or shaped. That's what they're using the term plastic for. So there's no plastic use. They're using cartilage. They're using bone. They're removing cartilage. They're removing bone. And depending on where you remove cartilage or where you remove bone, it has a huge effect on the overall appearance and shape and size of your nose.
That's right. It's a bit of a misnomer that you have to have your nose broken to have rhinoplasty. That is usually not true, although it can be. They've really come a long way over the years and kind of like with every surgery, with it's as non-invasive as it can get these days. And there are a couple of different types. There are open and closed rhinoplasties, and they each have their advantages. But with the open type, you're going to make that incision in the columella?
Columella, I think.
Columella. Man, I really messed that up. And that is that thin strip of skin that you talked about between your nostrils.
Yes.
So a little incision there.
Yeah.
And then you can access the cartilage from that point and the bone through that single incision.
Right.
They like this when it takes a little longer for the swelling to go down, I think, and you might have a little bit of a scar, but I think this is the one that they prefer to use when you need a little more work done than usual, a little more cartilage.
Right, because cutting that columella allows them to lift the skin off of your nose and access it more readily. So if they're doing extensive work, this is just going to make it easier for them. Which, just the thought of that makes me want to faint, but that's right. What they do. The closed version makes me want to faint only slightly less, but they actually go into your nostrils and up to a certain point, depending on where they're going to be doing work. And they make an incision at each nostril, which then that allows them access to the cartilage and the bone along the nose. And that has a much quicker recovery time compared to the open rhinoplasty, like you were saying.
Right, and you're not going to have a visible scar because it's up in your little nostrils.
Right, that is something. Like, even though you're not getting your nose broken, if you get an open rhinoplasty, and probably just about any type of cosmetic rhinoplasty, you are going to have a recovery time where you basically want to set aside 2 weeks to where you can just take care of yourself at home. Yeah. Because you're going to look very much beaten up with black eyes. Your nose is going to be extremely sensitive. One of the things I saw that you're supposed to do during recovery is to avoid blowing your nose. The thought of that makes me want to faint too. Blowing your nose after a rhinoplasty. You want to eat soft foods, brush your teeth gently. Yeah, you don't want to sneeze. Because again, you're going to have stents in your nose that are holding the shape, that are keeping the sutures from coming out. And you basically have to mouth breathe. And that's from like cosmetic rhinoplasty, but there's actually other reasons to get rhinoplasty too that are medical reasons. And here's where your insurance kicks in.
That's right. I mentioned the deviated septum. I thought it meant that it was completely like worn away or there was a hole, which can be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But usually deviated septum, more commonly that is when that internal wall is instead of kind of straight vertically down the center,
mm-hmm.
which you have two like sort of clear airways for the nasal passages, it's moved over to one side a little more. So you've got one nasal passage that has very little room, and I would assume the other has more room, right? Not to an advantageous way, but
I guess it can. It depends on what's going on with the septum, but yeah, I guess
it's like a 3-car garage. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. So I'm actually getting this done.
Right. Yeah. That's what that was the idea that sparked this episode, actually.
Oh, okay. So I went in for a consult, Chuck, and I saw my septum, and one of them, the PA was like, I can't even get the camera back there. Your septum is so pressed up against the inside of your nose. She didn't say the other one was wide open, although, I can tell I can actually breathe through it. But so I went in and got a CT scan, and now I'm waiting for them to go over the results with me. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be getting it, and I'm scared to death. Because it turns out a friend of mine, I didn't know this, Wes, his name's Wes, he just got it done. And he said that recovery was like some of the worst days of his entire life.
Oh, no.
He said it was so rotten. He said his throat was like
pain?
gravel from mouth breathing. His nose was in pain. He had these stents in his nose. And apparently his doctor didn't tell him that he'd put stents in. So Wes had no idea what was wrong. He just knew his nose felt all screwed up. And then we finally went in for the week later follow-up. And the doctor pulled the stents out, and he said it was just this whoosh of air through his nose like he's never experienced before. He said he almost fainted from hyperventilating, breathing through his nose. So I'm like, that's what I want. I'm willing to go through this for that. So Wes scared me. And then another one of our listeners wrote in when I was talking about getting it done, who's like, you should get it done, but you should also go into it knowing how rough the recovery is because everybody downplays it. And so I guess hopefully it's going to help me a little bit knowing to expect it. I think maybe it was so bad for them because they were caught off guard. And now if I'm expecting the worst, it might not be as bad, but I'm going to go get it done.
Good.
Yeah.
And good luck.
Thanks.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Let me ask you a couple of follow-ups.
Oh, sure.
So if you hold the good side, if you pinch the good side down, can you breathe at all through the other side?
A little.
Okay.
A little, not much.
Man, that must be frustrating to live with.
It is. Yes, it is, but I just thought it was normal until I got diagnosed with a deviated septum, and then I was like, oh, okay. And I actually asked the doctor who diagnosed me, like, dude, how did I get that? He's like, I don't know, maybe your mom dropped you on the head, you got in a fight when you were little, and I was like, I know the fight he's talking about.
Really?
My friend Sami in 6th grade, and I got into a fight, and the only time I've ever been punched in the nose, he punched me in the nose, and I guarantee that's when I got a deviated septum.
Oh, Sami, we got to track that guy down.
Yeah.
Make him pay for this.
Yeah. He should at least cover
financially,
the copay.
not rough him up.
Right. No, of course.
We got to make him pay.
Right. This is like, I'm like Kanye and Sami's Pete Davidson.
All right, so let me ask you this, and this may be too personal, but they talk about 2 birds, 1 stone. If you go in, insurance will cover the medical portion, the actual deviated septum. But while people are in there, sometimes they will choose to get a little work done that you have to foot the bill for. But I think the thinking is, while you're in there, I never liked X about my nose. Mm-hmm. Like, I know you talk about not liking your nose. Are you going to do anything, or do you even want to talk about that?
Well, I was looking at my nose as recently as today just to ask myself that question, honestly, because it's not like I don't like my nose. It just kind of took me many years to finally be like, I'm fine with my nose. It's fine. It's my nose. I'm cool with it. This is what I look like.
I like your nose.
Thank you. If you look at it a certain way in profile, I look like a cartoon gangster, like from a Dick Tracy strip. It kind of looks a little bit like that. But I actually was like, no, I'm not going to. It's fine. I like my nose. I'm probably less opposed to it than I was before I researched this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I'm going. I'm definitely not this time around, but I don't think I probably ever will.
Well, here's what you do. As you're going under, you just slip a little sticky note into the surgeon's hand.
Right.
They'll unfold it, and it just says, if you happen to get rid of a little extra while you're in there by accident,
Right.
I won't be mad at you.
Are you telling me that I should get a nose job? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
No. I was just joking around
You're
about
like
that. I like your nose. I never thought your nose was quote unquote big until you started talking about it. And then, I mean, people look how they look, and
Right.
you don't like have any prominent
Right.
nose features like a hump or anything. So I never thought you had a big nose.
I guess I don't know where I got that idea.
I think people look at themselves obviously more critically. Like,
Yeah.
I look how I look. I see myself in a picture, and I'm, sometimes horrified at the kind of shape I'm in right now. But, your friends and family walk around and they're just like, oh, that's what you look like right now.
Well, that's funny because I think I trace my awareness of my nose back to Valentine's Day when I was 8. My family always made a big deal out of Valentine's Day. We would we'd put cards on one another's chairs at dinner and then have dinner, and we get to open our Valentine's Day cards. And I remember one from my mom and dad that said, "Your nose is really big, but we love you anyway. Happy Valentine's Day, Mom and Dad."
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. I thought that was good. You got me.
I don't know where I got the idea that my nose is big, but it's pretty well seated in my my idea of myself.
All right. Well, that's very wonderful of you to be open like this, because this is the kind of stuff that people don't talk about a lot, I think.
That's true. That's true. I guess not. Although I think people are starting to talk about it more and more.
Yeah. All right. So before we take a break and finish up about this whole idea of what's called racial passing, we will just quickly mention how much these things cost. All in, generally about $5,000 to $9,000 to $10,000 is what I've seen for rhinoplasty.
It depends on where you are.
Yeah.
In Atlanta, it's $6,500 to $8,500. In LA, the same thing's going to cost you $10,000 to $15,000, and that's an average cost. So there's definitely much higher. But from what I'm seeing, it's one of those things where you do your research and you find the doctor that you feel comfortable with, and you go to them. Like if you're spending $10,000 on your nose, you probably can swing a couple $100, maybe twice, to go fly out to somewhere else in the United States or somewhere else in Europe to go to the doctor that you feel is going to do the best job.
That's right. All right, so let's take that break, and we'll talk a little bit about ethnic rhinoplasty right after this.
Okay, so my dog Little has figured out what a Chewy box looks like. And so she sees it and immediately assumes it's for her and goes rushing over to it.
Issa is the same way. She barks at everyone else, but the Chewy box, she's like, I'll let that one slide. You know what? I can't blame her. Chewy has over 100,000 products: food, treats, toys, beds, but all the stuff that both our dogs love.
And it shows up in 1 or 2 days. I've barely hit the order button and it's already on my porch.
So convenient. And it's not just dog stuff. Birds, fish, reptiles. Chewy's got the whole pet universe covered.
You know what surprised me was the health side. Now, my sweet Holly was a medically complex poodle with her heart disease and her kidney disease, and she needed a lot of prescription meds and prescription food. And Chewy was outstanding and really went above and beyond to make sure that she had what she needed. So I appreciate that. And Chewy will take care of all prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth, vet visits. The list goes on.
And they're now rolling out actual vet clinics. So that is huge.
Amazing. And if Little turns her nose up at something, which she does quite often, I can return it within a year with no questions asked. And if I ever need help, Chewy's 24/7 customer service is actually helpful.
Chewy just makes the whole pet parent thing feel easier.
They really do. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/howrude.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. You can't order it, you can't borrow it, or simply hope it into life. But now There's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. Together, guys, we'll have meaningful conversations with the world's most fascinating people. Entertainment legends, sports icons, wellness experts, and everyday people will share how they find, allow, and experience joy. And I'll offer some of my own tips and takes on seeking a more balanced and harmonious life. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Joy after a breakup, joy as an empty nester, joy after a loss, joy as a caretaker. This new podcast will speak to you. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Things are getting eerie this week on Snafu with Ed Helms. My Favorite Murder hosts Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark join me for the unsolved kidnapping of William Morgan. It's a great true crime story filled with secret society intrigue and murder.
Freemason files.
Karen, you just birthed a conspiracy, and I'm here for it.
Yay.
Listen to Snafu on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can hear it, true, but now see it. Crime Stories now available with video episodes, free in the iHeart app. Watch all your favorite podcasts, full episodes, start to finish, gavel to gavel, soup to nuts, all in the free iHeart app. You can also watch all your other favorite podcasts like Hey Jonas, Las Coteristas, Post Run High, and so many more. Hear the voices you know. Now see them and see the moments you've missed. Open the iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts and crime stories, and then just tap watch. I'll see you on video, friend.
All right. This is something we have to talk about. It's sort of one of the uglier parts of this podcast episode, but we have to cover things in full. And there are surgeons who specialize in what's known as ethnic rhinoplasty, with the idea that, and there's really no other way to say it, than they will augment your nose to look more European or Caucasian, if that's something that you're looking for.
Yeah. And I mean, today it's just kind of, I think in some ways it still ties into this idea of, I could look more beautiful than I do if I have this.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a far cry from I need to pass or fit in so I can get a job or marry a husband, like it was in America in the 50s and 60s as a big driver for nose jobs. But then I think if we trace it back to like the 19th century with Jacques Joseph, there was this idea that you could judge a person's moral character based on their nose, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you had just a very sort of smallish, straight nose, it was sort of a sign of a higher class. If you had any sort of like bumps or hooks to your nose, you were maybe someone to not be trusted. And these all come from the oldest, like, dirty ethnic stereotypes that have been around since time immemorial.
Yeah.
And, Nose Joseph was one, like you said, he was one of those doctors that, and these are their words that they're using, but, they called it the defect of Jewish nostrility, which is an actual word.
Oh, is it?
And it would help people, pass at a time when being Jewish was either looked down upon or could threaten your life, or, like you said, maybe lead you to not getting a job as easily as you should based on your qualifications.
Yep. Drop the Berg or the Steen from your last name, and all of a sudden you're just a plain Jane, average American, mid-century Joe or Jane.
That's right.
So that was actually like Jacques Joseph, and then the advent of like readily available plastic surgery was like hugely helped along by this idea that Jewish people just kind of needed to do this. And apparently became such a rite of passage, Chuck, that by like the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, like it was a pretty routine Sweet 16 gift for Jewish girls in America to get. Their parents would buy them a nose job. That was just kind of how it went, which is extraordinarily sad. But if you kind of can take that and hold it for a second, it kind of highlights just how far the younger generations of today have come in relation to that. Because moms whose parents bought their nose job when they were 16 are like going to offer it to their kids, their daughters in particular now. And their daughters are like, what are you, crazy? No, I'm fine with my nose. I love my nose. Why? Do you not like my nose? Leave me alone. That seems to be like getting more increasingly prevalent.
Yeah, I mean, I think Generation Z is leading the charge on accepting who you are and what you look like and what you're shaped like. And it's great. I mean, we're Generation X, so we see that underneath us, and we came from seeing boomers above us that had the moms and the dads who were like, hey, why don't you get a nose job, honey? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So we're just sort of caught in the middle in this in a no man's land almost of this generational shift, it seems like.
Yeah, but I think there were plenty of Gen Xers that followed in that tradition of getting the nose job around age 16 or something like that.
Well, yeah, I think because of the influence of the boomers. I'm not blaming boomers for everything, but you sent that article about actress Jennifer Grey, and very famously had a larger nose that I thought looked great.
Yeah.
And then had a surgery where she had a very different nose, completely changed the way she looked. And she said in that article, she's talking about it a lot more now, that her mom, who was an actor, said, she was the one that encouraged her and said, honey, why don't you go get this done? Mm-hmm. You'll be more easily cast in roles. And she did. And I think she feels like, and I think she's probably right, suffered from her new nose about not being cast.
Yeah, the opposite happened of the intended effect, where her roles dried up. Like, she went from, I'm a successful movie star with my nose, to changing her nose to not, to kind of falling out of the limelight and not getting work like before. She says she regretted her nose job. Actually, 2 of them. She got 2 of them because she wasn't happy with the first one. And she, I don't know if she's ever toyed with the idea. I'm sure she has, but I didn't read it. But there's a trend among people who are dissatisfied with having gotten a nose job, who are going back to basically get what's called a reverse nose job, which is, as one, I think, cosmetic surgeon put it, putting the bump back in.
Yeah, and I don't think that's something that like a Jennifer Grey is considering anymore, because she's kind of, closed the loop on that. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a pretty cool thing that people are saying, go back and give me, like, embracing themselves now. As far as Jennifer Grey goes, I mean, she was the crush of a lot of dudes our age, thanks to Dirty Dancing and Jeannie Bueller. Mm-hmm. And I remember when that happened, the news cycle wasn't as invasive back then in a lot of ways. So I didn't even know. Jennifer Grey just kind of went away. And then when I saw pictures of yours, when I finally saw a photo of her with a new nose, it's like, oh my God, is that even Jennifer Grey?
Right.
Because it was just such a signature look for her. And anyway, I loved Jeannie Bueller, is what I'm saying.
It is startling the difference that a nose job can make. Like, if you look at, and there is a lot of before and after pictures on the internet of rhinoplasty.
Yeah.
It's incredible the difference that it makes. The effect that just slight changes to the nose have on the entire look, the entire face of the person, it very frequently makes them look like an entirely different person. Jennifer Grey's definitely one of those people. She looks like a different person. And not like she looks like a different person because she had a bunch of work done. She looks like a different person because she has a different nose now. And I think it was just so characteristic of her. She's not the only one who regretted getting a nose job, a famous person. I believe Bella Hadid did as well. I read that she was quoted as saying that she wishes she kept the nose of her ancestors because she thinks she probably would have grown into it or grown to like it.
Right.
And so, I mean, at least there's options of going back and getting it, redone the way it was before. But it definitely gives you pause to say, like, okay, if you're going to do this, like, ask yourself, is somebody pressuring you to do this? Are you old enough to really kind of make a decision like this? Has your nose grown? Are you old enough so that your nose has taken what's probably going to be its final shape?
Yeah, or your face.
There's a lot of questions for you to really consider. And if you go to a decent plastic surgeon, they should be helping you consider these questions. And then lastly, you got anything else?
Well, I do think we should mention Iranian women because you kind of teased that out at the beginning. They have some of the highest rates of rhinoplasty in the world at 180 cases per every 100,000 people. I don't know if this is people and not women, but either way, a very high rate. And, there was an article in the LA Times, and a woman from Tehran said women do nose jobs in Iran because it's the only part of their body they can show in society. We have to wear a scarf over our hair, so we get a nose job to make ourselves beautiful, and it starts in high school.
Right.
And but apparently even there were much more severe rhinoplasties performed in Iran in previous generations, much more dramatic reshapings, and now there are more subtle changes that still embrace the ethnic look of Iranian and Persian women. So
yeah, and that seems to be the trend.
It's sort of happening everywhere, yeah.
Yeah. So what I was hoping to bring up, at least to finish on, is that because of all those questions that you need to ask yourself, like there's a lot of concern about how young should you be before you start thinking about getting a nose job or any kind of plastic surgery. And there's apparently a big problem on TikTok where there's plastic surgery targeting, like ads for plastic surgeons targeting users as young as 14. I think Business Insider set up like a fake profile and set their age to 14, and they scrolled for 8 minutes before they started getting plastic surgery videos served to them. And I guess TikTok banned outright plastic surgeon ads, but the plastic surgeons have figured out like, okay, well, I'll just make a video talking about how great plastic surgery is, and it's all basically the same. So it's a huge problem. And you can understand, like, if you're 14 years old, that's probably not a good time for you to be thinking solo about whether you want a nose job or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a lot to weigh.
For sure. Without the help of a social media giant pushing you one way or another, you know?
That's right.
Well, Chuck said that's right, and he already said he doesn't have anything else. So if you want to know more about rhinoplasty, go read up on it, especially if you're considering getting it yourself. Inform yourself. And since I said that, it's time for listener mail.
That's right. The listener mail we teased, and I think we should, do you have it pulled up? We should both kind of go through these.
Okay, yep.
Since it's a long one, we got a lot of great grilled cheese tips from listeners. And the first one we got was from Pablo Quintana, who said, when I do grilled cheeses, I make them using Manchego cheese or Oaxacan cheese, grilled, olive oil, tomato with butter on rye or sourdough, paired with either tomato soup, clam chowder, oh my God, lentil soup, or even chili, depending on the occasion. Pablo, you're doing it right.
Yeah, Pablo knows what he's doing. So after Pablo, we have Robin Russo, who labels themselves a Wisconsin cheese lover. They say, try spreading pure maple syrup on the bread and use Colby cheese. Colby melts very evenly, so it's perfect. The syrup gives a nice sweetness balanced by the salt and the cheese. And then as an aside, just to show off, also if you ever eat fresh squeaky cheese curds, dip them in cocktail shrimp sauce first. It's so good, you'll thank me later. So there's 2 tips from Robin Russo.
That sounds really good. That syrup, that sounds like something you could cut into quarters and serve at a cocktail party.
Yeah. It
sounds so delicious.
Canapes.
Erica Tyler says, use brioche bread if you're living your best life, but normal bread will also work. Cover the outside with butter, then dip that buttered side in Parmesan.
Nice.
The cheese inside is Gouda or Munster. Both are delicious. I learned this method from That Dude Can Cook on YouTube.
Hats off to both. Ruth Ann L. says, make your grilled cheese, but add Dijon mustard to the inside. Takes it to an awesome level of umptuousness.
Yeah, I'm not into the mustard, but I bet mustard lovers would love that.
For sure.
Baird Swedman says, press a couple of garlic cloves into a small bowl of cream cheese and mix. That there you go. Use that as your cheese filler in a grilled cheese, and you, my friends, have entered flavor country. You can thank Allison, who is Baird's wife, who introduced Baird to the podcast and the recipe. That sounds really, really awesome. I love cream cheese.
It does, and it ties into what a couple of other people have sent in, including Virginia Bestwick of Alberta, Canada. She says, I like my grilled cheese with old cheddar and garlic boursin. And I think garlic boursin is like a cream cheese spread with garlic in it. So that's kind of like Allison's doing the deconstructed version.
This makes me so hungry. Mike Frank says this: mayo on one side, butter on the other. It's like, why choose? Cream cheese spread, or better yet, boursin. Is it boursin or boursin? All right. Creamy and tangy without throwing off the bread cheese ratio. Boom, there you have it. Good old grilled cheese. I also love Truff, Truff, hot sauce on the grilled cheese. It's unique hot sauce made with truffles and truffle oil. Although we know that's synthetic, Mike. You listen to our episode on truffles. He said it's pretty niche, but really great on grilled cheese.
Thanks for that, Mike. And here's one from Jesse Lee of Taos, New Mexico, who over the deafening hum said, one of my favorite things to dip a grilled cheese in is salsa. Try it out with your next one and thank me later. Nice, simple, but awesome.
I bet that's really good. This is a professional chef, and I'm going to go to this restaurant when I go to Savannah, the Bellwether House in Savannah, Georgia, and Chef Ryan White Buck explains why mayo is better. This is a little bit of a J. Kenji Lopez alt food science explanation, which I always love. Butter contains dissolved milk solids that, when melted, separate and can sog up a slice of bread. Mayo, however, is oil emulsified with a very small amount of egg yolk, mustard, and vinegar. Using mayo for grilled cheese will crisp the bread without sogging it up, and the mustard and vinegar will season the sandwich with spicy and tart elements. These flavors, paired with the hints of sweet from the bread and the unctuous, savory quality of cheese, paint a complete taste profile for the palate in a fashion similar to how complementary colors work.
Very nice. The more
All right,
you know.
go to the Bellwether House in Savannah.
Yeah, for
Check
sure.
out the food.
And then the last one is from Kayla Rohrer. And she does not have a tip, but she has a recollection from playing The Sims. She said starting in early 2008, The Sims added a secret grilled cheese aspiration to their little virtual lives. If you played The Sims, you could create a secondary aspiration in life, which made your sim obsess over grilled cheese. If they cooked that. If they painted grilled cheese. And in their backlog of precious memories, you'd see where they finally remembered a time where they ate grilled cheese. And the comment underneath would read, grilled cheese, my favorite. Too funny. Agreed, Kayla. That is too funny and pretty interesting. I never knew that. And she actually said she's not sure if it's related to that 2007 Kraft money. Remember, Kraft spent like $1 billion plus on grilled cheeses?
Yeah, the astute listener, by the way, unless Jerry cuts it out, will literally hear my stomach growl right then during that last bit. It went...
Jerry, I hope you don't cut that out. Well, that's it. If you want to be like Kayla, Ryan, Jesse, Mike, Virginia, Baird, Ruth Ann, Erica, Robin, and Pablo, and write to us with whatever you have to say, you can send it via email to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Okay, so my dog Little has figured out what a Chewy box looks like. And so she sees it and immediately assumes it's for her and goes rushing over to it.
Issa is the same way. She barks at everyone else, but the Chewy box, she's like, I'll let that one slide. And you know what? I can't blame her. Chewy has over 100,000 products: food, treats, toys, beds, but all the stuff that both our dogs love.
And it shows up in like 1 or 2 days. Like I've barely hit the order button and it's already on my porch.
So convenient. And it's not just dog stuff. Birds, fish, reptiles. Chewy's got the whole pet universe covered.
You know what surprised me was the health side. Now, you know, my sweet Holly was a medically complex poodle with her heart disease and her kidney disease, and she needed a lot of prescription meds and prescription food. And Chewy was outstanding and really went above and beyond to make sure that she had what she needed. So I appreciate that. And Chewy will take care of all prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth, vet visits. The list goes on.
And they're now rolling out actual vet clinics. So that is huge.
Amazing. And if Little turns her nose up at something, which she does quite often, I can return it within a year with no questions asked. And if I ever need help, Chewy's 24/7 customer service is actually helpful.
Chewy just makes the whole pet parent thing feel easier.
They really do. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/howrude.
Joy is essential and it's also elusive. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.